Hey everyone, Adam here. It's been a while since I've had this machine out. This is my Pentium MMX system with my processor that I have had for like 17 years or something like that I resurrected a while ago. I did not get around to ever installing Windows 98 on it. Things just happened, been very busy, but I'm going to follow up with it now. The only change I've really made is that I bought a zip drive. I don't actually have any zip disks. I need to find some of those. But I bought a zip drive because I could not find a blank plate that would fit here, and I figured a zip drive would be a good thing to have anyway because, this is another option for transferring stuff to this machine. So I have I'm installing a genuine copy of Windows. This is, I think I got this, not with this machine, but I definitely have had it for a long time. It's got a COA on it and everything, so we can actually get this machine up and running. I'm up here in my room where things are kind of crazy and messy. I have a bunch of machines here. Those are my FreeNAS servers and stuff. So let's go ahead and get into this. I believe the BIOS are still configured, assuming the CMOS battery hasn't died. So yeah, it's showing our Pentium processor. I believe I'm going to have to make some change, because it's going to try to find a slave drive every time. That's annoying. So we'll go ahead and skip that. I think Pixie Boot was it? I didn't even know they had Pixie Boot. So let's boot from CD. This is a burned copy of the Windows CD, so hopefully everything will work correctly. So let's actually start the computer with CD-ROM support here first, because we need to go into F-disk and make sure that this hard disk is actually configured correctly here. This monitor looks really washed out on this screen. So F-disk, I didn't spell it right. This is actually, I'm typing with my left hand holding the camera. It's unnatural. Yes, we want large disk support. Sure. Let's go ahead and delete whatever's already on here. And I don't know what is even on here, so let's just go ahead and actually display partition information here first. So it has an NTFS partition on it. This was, I think, in a Windows, the drive that's in here was in a Windows XP machine. So delete partition. Does this count as a non-DOS partition? Yes, it does. Yes, and super yes. Non-DOS partition deleted. Let's go ahead and create a partition. I haven't done this in probably 15 years, so it's kind of fun. Like ever since Windows XP came out, I don't think I've done this. So create primary DOS partition, and this will take a minute. I used to reformat my machine pretty much all the time because I break it all the time back in the day, installing random stuff, and I should really find a tripod for this camera so I don't have to hold this the whole time. But yeah, I would do this quite often back in the day, but I have not done this in probably more like 13 years. So it's kind of that's one of the reasons I wanted to resurrect this machine. I think it will be fun to get back into old-timey computing that I haven't done in a really long time. I have a couple of games, specifically like Star Trek, Voyager, Elite Force, Homeworld Cataclysm. There's a few games that I actually want to be able to play again that do not work right. I have fiddled around a lot with Windows 7, 8, and 10 with XP compatibility mode, whatever. I think it's not going to work right on a 64-bit machine, so I am going to go ahead and... This machine probably really won't be the one that I do that kind of gaming on. This one's going to be for more like older DOS kind of games. I have a bunch of parts on order. I'm going to build a Pentium 2 machine because I never had one of those. And I want to build a fairly... like what would have been a powerful machine in like 1999 or so. The machine that I would have wanted to build if I had had more money than I did. I was just a teenager then, so I wasn't even a teenager actually. So I want to just kind of spend a little bit more money since all these parts are a lot cheaper than they used to be, and I probably end up building one for every generation because I never even owned a Pentium 2. It's a generation that I just kind of skipped. because I was a kid and I didn't have a lot of money. I was lucky to have any computer really in 1998, because before that I had an old Apple IIc or whatever, like the one that was like a keyboard and the whole machine in one unit there, and I had that for a long time. My parents had that machine, and so I was lucky to have a real computer finally. And we'll go ahead and launch Windows Startup or Setup, and yeah, I just kind of skipped over that generation. I did have a Pentium 3 and the 4 and then the unfortunate D, and then I've pretty much had all the variations of the core processor, so a Pentium 2 would be kind of a fun thing to have. I never messed around with 486s either, so I would kind of like to do that. Whatever, we'll have a format to drive. Yeah, I'd kind of like to actually get a 486 machine going at some point too. Parts for that are a little bit more expensive, and I don't really know what I'm doing. I'd have to do a lot of research before I do that too. So anyway, this is going to take a few minutes to get this formatting done, and we'll be back when it is. Alright, so the formatting is done. We're going to go ahead and go through a quote-unquote routine system check here. Focus is real slow on this camera sometimes. This is very nostalgic and weird. I remember most of this stuff. Is it restarting the whole? No, it's in the actual setup now. So, now's the time to see if I have mouse or not. I do. Good. Continue. I have to use my left hand with this mouse as well. Trying to hold the camera kind of funny, but it's not working out. Could do this without a mouse, but not that much fun. So my plan is I'm going to get this machine configured correctly, and then I'm going to take the hard disk out and actually create an image of it. I'm going to get all my applications, all my games, all my drivers, everything that I really want on this machine is going to be on this machine. And then we'll go ahead and take the drive out, make an image of it, because it's an old disk. It could die at any time, really. So I would like to have an actual image of it made. And then if it does die, I can just get a new drive. I should probably really use SATA mechanical drives, and just make sure that well, I'll take some desktop themes. I don't even care. Make sure that I create backups and use them. I don't really care about accessories that much, I guess. Well, so my mouse wheel doesn't work. I forget you don't just inherently have that kind of stuff work. Web TV for Windows. Well, we don't want online services. We don't want Outlook Express. Whatever, good enough. It's not like I really need to worry that much about space. That is a really good name for this machine for now. Standard keyboard, United States, and booyah. So this will probably take longer than 28 minutes. I never actually remember it taking 28 minutes, so I will just be back when this has completed, and we're on to our next step. Alright, so we're doing the reboot, and we're going to want to go ahead and remove the... Do we remove the CD yet? No, I did not say, did it? Well, it should just boot up off of the hard drive anyway, automatically, so we'll see. Like I said, it's been a while. I remember I used to copy the entire contents of the Windows CD over into the hard drive so that when I would install something, I wouldn't have to put the stupid CD in again, because everything always wanted the CD. I miss that noise. I do need to figure out how to get it to not detect the hard drive slave. Maybe I just go in the BIOS and disable that? I don't know. It's set to auto right now. And it seems like it just continues to do whatever the hell it pleases. Yay! Getting ready to run Windows for the first time. I have not seen that screen in person in a very long time. Please wait till setup does something that I couldn't read. And now it's going to go through all the horror of driver detection, which it probably will find basically nothing, and all that. So what are we going to do for this? We're going to say... Again, I'm typing with my left hand, so forgive me. And company, we don't need one. Do I accept the terms? I'm not sure after all this. Let's go ahead and just accept it. And so I'm going to go ahead and enter this in, and we'll get on to the next step. Alright, so we have saved that information, and Yep. So it's just going to go ahead and do the driver setup, and like I said, it basically never finds anything. I don't know why it takes quite so long to not really do too much of anything. I'm glad this has worked so much better in modern versions of Windows finally. It was always kind of a pain in the butt. So I'll be back. I think we'll probably be booting into Windows next restart, so be back in a few. Alright, so we're rebooting again. That CD drive sounds crazy when it spins down. I gotta remember that. I'm gonna actually go into the BIOS right now and see if we can change that so it stops irritating the hell out of me. Okay, second primary slave. Let's go ahead and none. There we go. That ought to stop that crap from happening. Go ahead and exit, save. So life should be good again here. The lighting in this room is getting really bad. Sun's setting, so it's just one overhead light in here right now. I should probably move a lamp over here. But we're almost done anyway. Leaving the CD in because I'm sure it needs it. This monitor does have built-in speakers, but I doubt the sound card's going to be working. It'll probably scare the heck out of me if it makes the Windows noise when it's actually booting into Windows next time. But I don't know. This installation is a lot less annoying than I remember it being. The Windows XP one, I believe, is the one that takes the very longest. It's like I think it always says it takes 39 minutes, and it never does. But we're just gonna let Windows keep on doing its thing here. Well, that barely took any time at all. I don't have my phone handy here, so I don't know. That's kind of vaguely right. I think it's off by an hour and something, but it's not bad. It's actually off by like 3 days. No, it's actually off by 4 days and 3 hours or something, but we'll call it good. It's not that bad, considering this board's been sitting around for a long time, so I should probably purchase a CMOS battery for it, because there's no way that thing's gonna keep on ticking forever. But, oh, I remember our little drum thing. You know, Windows 98 was the first version of Windows that I had real experience with. One of my friends had a laptop, an old IBM ThinkPad something, and it had Windows 95 on it. I played Doom and stuff on that quite a bit, but I never personally owned a machine that ran Windows 95. I started out with Windows 98. I would like to actually go back and mess around with Windows 95 at some point. I know it's not nearly as good as Windows 98 was, and Windows 98 has a fair share of problems. I think it has like a memory limit of like 512 megabytes, and if you go, even if you have that much memory, like memory leaks start happening and the system becomes unstable the longer it's on. I think it's actually worse if you have more memory. I know there's an unofficial service pack that allows you to increase that over that. I don't know if it lets you go up to the 32-bit limit or not, but in any case, never messed around with Windows 95 that much. My school, we had Macs, so it was like all OS 9 something, I don't know what. But definitely would like to get into some of the older stuff. Like I said, like DOS. I use DOS basically for routine, like fixing stuff when it broke in Windows, that sort of stuff. I never really got into that too much, and definitely not Windows 95 either, or 3.1. So we're just gonna, like I said, let Windows do its thing here and see what happens. Alrighty, so I believe this is the final restart, and we will be going into actual Windows now, which ought to be pretty cool. See how bad the damage is. I'm gonna have to go to a bunch of websites, I'm sure, and download a bunch of drivers. I think I pretty much pre-downloaded a lot of them, but they're all on that on one of my FreeNAS servers, and this thing probably won't have network access. And plus, I have a domain. There's no way this thing's gonna be able to join a Windows 2012 R2 domain, so the permissions and stuff will all be broken on those files. So I'm not exactly sure. I guess I will just have to like burn them on a CD. I'm not gonna use USB 1.1 to transfer too much stuff. So, not real sure on that, but let's just make sure the machine actually successfully starts up. It's been running for a good 35-40 minutes straight, and everything seems to be at a reasonable temperature. nothing bad has happened. It does have a new power supply, so I wasn't worried about the power supply, but everything else in it is old used equipment, and some of it was of unknown origin from eBay, but it all seems to be performing pretty well. And unknown devices. Yay! I always thought it was weird, like, why does it install the monitor driver when the monitor's been working the whole time? I don't know. It probably has to do with detecting what available resolutions the monitor can support or something. I don't really know. But it's always just ends up being a generic plug-and-play monitor anyway, so not exactly sure. I've always wondered about that. I've never looked into it, so apparently I haven't wondered that much, but definitely don't have video drivers installed either. That is so nasty resolution here. So, oh, I remember you. Why would I want you to show every time? Give me a little checkbox. I do not want you to show every time. That's just silly. No. Boom. And our beautiful genuine Pentium processor. Device manager. So we have, looks like a good number of things. I'll probably have to look into the chipset drivers, it looks like. Display adapter. Network. So that's my sound blaster. Not exactly sure what that is. Looks like it found my network adapter though. That's the nice thing about those Intel ones. So gotta go find drivers. Be back. Alright, so that was mostly pretty painless getting the drivers up and running. We have display adapter, 3DFX, Voodoo Banshee, and the only thing that didn't work and I have not found yet is the advanced power management support. I don't really care that much about that. The creative stuff worked. The network adapter was already installed. I went and got oldversions.com or something has old versions of applications, like it kind of sounds like they would, and I went ahead and installed an old version of Winamp, and it does indeed play music. So I mean, these are not the best speakers that it's hooked up to right now, but that's a 320 kilobit per second MP3 too, so kind of happy about that. So anyhow, before I get a copyright strike for that, let's go ahead and close out of that. So that pretty much takes care of everything except for, I did notice one funny thing. I have this hooked up to my LAN now, and it's like, it's the internet, man, on a Windows 98 computer. It's kind of crazy. I wonder how well this will actually work. That was a funny play, by the way, in that Patriots-Colts game. I'm a Patriots fan, so I really enjoyed that. The swinging gate failed play. There's no way it's going to actually work because of HTML5 and so forth, and this is an ancient version of Internet Explorer, but yeah, in the future I don't care. And that's about what I figured. They're just like, what are you trying to do? But it is kind of nice because our SSL is too old, I'm sure is what it is. There probably are browsers you could actually get working on this. I don't really care that this is unprotected and virus prone. Plus, how many Windows 98 viruses are probably out and about? But anyhow, we'll mess up their little statistics about who's using what browser and stuff. So anyway, I think I'm going to end it here for today. When we come back, I will probably do another video with this. I'm going to work on getting a bunch of stuff installed and try to get everything kind of configured the way I want. Then we'll go ahead and image the disk, and this machine will be up and running. It's been running great. I've been doing lots of stuff with it. It's not had a problem. I did notice that I think I have the polarity reversed on these two LEDs, so I'll have to fix that. Alright, so I did want to mention too that I figured out what was wrong with my power management. I knew this computer could shut itself off, not like, you know, I think pretty much every Windows 98 could do that. Machine could do that. But the advanced power management support was having problems because there's a setting in the BIOS, what was the power management option? It was set to disable. I don't know, I must have just disabled that during when I was resetting the settings on that. It should be set to user defined, and then Windows will actually shut down properly. Should just turn right off here. Of course, it probably won't now that I said that. And we should not get the Windows. It is now safe to power down your machine. Yeah, okay, so it just shut itself down. Cool. Since this machine is running on really old hardware that hasn't been used a lot lately, I'm going to go ahead and let it run a full mem test. I don't know how long that will take exactly on this machine, but I am going to go ahead and let it do its full pass. It'll be a good stress test just to see how long this thing can actually stay running and everything too. This is something I usually like to do on all of my machines, so probably take a while. It's only 384 megabytes of RAM, but it's an old machine, not a lot of memory bandwidth. So, look at 103 megabytes per second. Is that our bandwidth that we're getting there? It's kind of funny. Well, it looks like it's going to pass mem test with flying colors, so that's good. The machine's been running for more than an hour doing this, so not having any heating issues, not having any memory issues thus far. So I'm feeling pretty good about the stability of this system as it is configured. It's going to go ahead and I guess do some secondary pass, but there's really no point in doing any more. So I think what we'll do is escape, get this disk out of the drive. Want to go back into Windows. I'm going to be running HDAT2 on this as well, just to verify the integrity of the hard disk. But I want to see if I can get some of the multimedia stuff going on the system too. I think the VLC I tried installing and that was a bust. Okay, so now that I got all the drivers configured and everything, I want to go ahead and just see how long it takes to boot up. It's at a dead cold stop here, so go ahead and turn it on. Need to take the case off and deal with those LEDs, but whatever. Not right now. So, I believe it's done updating, it's done with everything, so this is just how long this thing takes to start up. I have not done this yet, so we'll see how bad it is. It's not running on an SSD or anything. Windows 98 was well before the time of that, so it should be reasonably quick. I turned on, I don't think I turned it on the disk though, Ultra DMA. I know it's on the motherboard, but I don't know if I actually turned it on. You have to actually go into the disk and turn it on manually, I believe, in Windows 98. And I believe I hit enter, didn't I? Yep, I did. Just takes a second. Alright, so she's all up and running. Like I said, we're going to go ahead and tweak some things, and I'll do a part 3 of this where we actually get some games up and running just to see how it works, and probably do a little bit of those benchmarking and stuff that came on old discs. Maybe we'll see if we can get some of that going too. And I want to thank you for watching. Catch you next time.